The overly simplistic answer is to just charge $400. If you're just starting out, even if you're a newly trained or mentored hypnotist, I know that pricing your services can feel intimidating, but the truth is you should still be charging hundreds. Reason being, especially if you're aspiring to become a professionally paid touring hypnotist, the service you're offering is a professional luxury, not a commodity. A commodity is something, for example, like bread or fruit or the metal it took to make a fork that you used to eat dinner. These are commodities because they're fungible goods, meaning, for example, if your loaf of bread or fruit get moldy and or your fork breaks or gets rusty, you can easily replace these items by going to your local store and getting new bread, fruit, forks, or what have you for a few bucks. If you're a hypnotist with professional hands-on and in-field training, then the knowledge and skills you gain from said training can't really be picked up like a cup of coffee at your local shop for a few bucks. Your training took days, if not weeks, and your in-field experience is something that most, if not all of your leads lack and never chose to invest in. If they had, they probably wouldn't need to hire you because they'd know how to entertain their own event. Make sense? As a result, you need to understand that you offer a professional service worth a premium price. This, in combination with creativity, is what differentiates you from a commodity. While commodities like bread, fruits, and knives are cheap and generally bought and used in most societies, your knowledge and skills as a professionally trained hypnotist were neither readily available nor easily affordable. You likely had to schedule a specific time and budget just to learn what you now know how to do. Once you have the knowledge and skills to charge a premium, the question is, how confident are you in your skills? I've heard of numerous hypnotists who charge four figures, but the clients felt let down. In some cases, it was that the hypnotists lacked the ability to read and connect with the room, and in others, it was the fact that the hypnotist's ego was so overpowering that the pleasant experience they were hired to provide the event didn't end up coming through, more so than their own ego. Beginning, I think it's wise to charge between $100 to $300. That's what I did when I started at 19, and several of HypnoKick's mastermind students followed that lead. Get a few paying clients and reviews under your belt, and then as time goes on and you're becoming more confident and therefore more competent as a hypnotist, then you can increase your prices over time. Now, even after you start charging this, I know that a lot of entertainers tend to get stuck in this price bracket, and it's usually due to imposter syndrome. In other words, they've done a few shows, they've charged a few hundred per show for a few months or years, but refuse to raise the rates out of fear that they'll lose their current clientele and not make up for it, or that the higher paying clients who would pay their new fees may not see their value. Imposter syndrome is always an interesting topic for me to cover with new students because it's always a deeply rooted false belief someone, usually unknowingly, had developed in their subconscious over time. Sometimes it's due to not feeling accepted by their parents, friends, or certain authorities that they once looked up to from their past, or it's because they lack a solid support system that encouraged them from the beginning years back to take risks and were also at their side if things didn't end up panning out. In either case, it's ultimately a you issue, because I can tell you that after a decade of hypnotizing, there are literally hundreds of clients willing to pay you more than a few $100s for you to hypnotize their private event. Some will even pay you that just for a one-on-one session. The best way to help yourself overcome the imposter syndrome is to subtly raise your price over time. You don't have to immediately double it. Let's say you're charging about $300 an hour like I did from the age of 19 until almost my mid-20s. I raised my rate by $50 one year and almost lost a client. Naturally, I was really happy when they agreed to still book me, even though I now realize in retrospect, 1, I was severely undercharging for the type of event I was hired for, and 2, I allowed myself to become emotionally influenced by that client's reaction to my price, and it scared me from raising it for a few more years. Eventually I came to my senses and realized if I'm going to earn a full-time income, working part-time hours as an entertainer the way I always wanted, then I had to charge more in order to stress less over my monthly bills. So with the help of a talent manager, we more than doubled my initial $300 price tag, and to my surprise, still managed to keep booking ourselves private party clients. It was around this time that I also rose my fair and festival rates to more than $1,000 and was throwing myself mini dance parties every time an organizer from those markets agreed to pay my asking price. I realize now, a decade later, I was still undercharging, but we all start somewhere. Now, once you eventually get to the point where you've been doing shows for a while, you've been charging at this price bracket for a while, and you know for a fact you have the knowledge and skills of a truly unique and life-changing skill set that is worth a premium price, and you're now willing to charge more than $100 or more than a few $100s, now, once you get to that point, now it's time to scale your practice. The biggest factor here is your unique sauce. What's that special something that you bring to the table as a hypnotist that very few other hypnotists, if any of them, also offer? The more you can creatively differentiate yourself from other hypnotists, the more valuable your service becomes and the more you can charge clients to hypnotize their event. Even a small difference in your approach to your show or how you conduct routines can very easily make you stand out from the herd. So the more easily recognizable and unique your special something is, the more likely clients are to value and pay more for your services as a hypnotist over other hypnotists who are only offering to, let's say, hypnotize their clients' guests to cluck like chickens. I've learned that there are plenty of clients out there only looking to spend a few $100 and could care less if you're a cliche hypnotist who sticks to the clucking chicken routine. I've also learned that there are many clients willing to pay far more to ensure they and their guests receive a special experience because they value the hypnotist's unique twist of a show over the clucking chicken. They actually want a new, fresh, exciting, potentially edgy experience that they're rarely ever offered by other hypnotists. So while it may seem intimidating at first, I promise the more you practice creating a unique experience for these future clients of yours, the easier it becomes, and you'll begin to naturally attract more of your ideal clientele that will want what you have to offer as a professional hypnotist. Yes, it does take time and patience, but it's very well worth it in the long run. So if there are any hypnotists out there that are currently just starting out, but especially growing and trying to scale their practice in 2023 and make it as a professional and see, how can I possibly pay my bills with this? Hopefully this gave you a little bit of an insight and realistic guideline on how to do that so you can most realistically scale your practice in 2023. I've come to realize a lot of entertainers are undervaluing their services and sabotaging their own successes. As someone who took a weekend seminar in Vegas as a teenager to learn hypnosis and never considered that such trainings rarely go into depth on how to establish or scale your own lucrative hypnosis practice, I realized this lesson is a must for growing pros. If you are a professionally trained or mentored hypnotist, then you do have value. Your knowledge and skills are worth a premium, and you will, quote-unquote, make it. You simply have to be willing to take the leap to make it your reality now and make this your year. Welcome to any new viewers, especially hypnotists that may have been feeling a little stuck recently. I'm hoping this lesson sheds some light on the reality that is the hypnosis industry. I've seen many discuss hypnosis techniques, routines, and scripts, but rarely break down how to start as a beginner, let alone scale as a growing pro. If you're brand new to hypnosis and looking for a free way to kickstart your journey, HypnoKick's free ebook is linked in the description, alongside some additional training for hobbyists and a mastermind for those serious professionals looking to skyrocket their success these next few months. Regardless of how you ended up on this video or why you chose to watch it until the very end, I'm grateful you stuck it out, listened, and gave me your time. Hope our past and future lessons alike provide you just as much value and help you achieve your hypnosis-related goals.